come in, sir?
Come.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, have a seat, Swarnim.
Thank you so much.
So, Swarnim, you're from Gurgaon.
Yes.
Gurugram.
Yes, sir.
And your father is Deputy Superintendent of Police
Yes, sir.
in Haryana.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you have done your BA Economics, Political Science, English and Hindi.
Yes, sir.
And you have also done LLB.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you are fond of bird watching,
Yes, sir.
practicing yoga asanas, and walking.
Yes, sir.
And your subject optional is political science and international relationships.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, first of all, let me ask you, in Haryana, if I was to ask you to narrate the strengths and weaknesses of Haryana, what would you say?
So as far as the strengths of Haryana is concerned, so Haryana has one of the highest per capita incomes. It has one of the highest gross state domestic product, standing at rupees 8.88 lakh crores. Secondly, it has a blooming services sector. About 46% of Haryana's GSDP is contributed by the services sector. Thirdly, Haryana has a flourishing agriculture sector as well. Despite being 1.5% of the land area, it supplies 15% of food grain requirements in India. It is also home to Gurugram, which is a city, which is a millennium city, and is the second largest information and technology hub. And sir, as far as the weaknesses are concerned, it scores low on socio-economic indicators, such as its sex ratio stands at 879 girls per 1,000 boys. Secondly, there are instances of honor killing and domestic violence. And thirdly, a new contemporary issue is also emerging, such as drug abuse in Haryana.
Okay, so since you mentioned many strengths and people are very progressive in terms of agricultural production and also proximity to Delhi, many things are positives. Why is it so much of dependence on the different cults in Haryana? It's such a small state, and yet there are a large number of Babas which come from Haryana, and people believe in those Babas rather than anything, being dependent on the rationality rather than they go to these Babas. Why?
Sir, dependency on cults is also owed to the fact that in rural areas, people are not that educated enough to develop their rational faculties and question the cults in themselves. Secondly, sir, the devotional aspects, not only in Haryana but across India, is very high. So these Babas tend to establish organizations which are charitable in nature, and also they provide a respite to psychology of the poor people. In turn, which is
Supposing
why
you are
they enjoy
posted as
legitimacy.
collector,
Yes, sir.
in what way can you use the great following of these Babas in propagating some of the public policies of the government?
So firstly, I can use this trend to increase enrollment ratio of girls at village level. Secondly, I can also use the Babas to encourage people not to take dowry and against domestic violence. Thirdly, I can also use this power to discourage people from getting into drug abuse and alcohol abuse.
Okay. Now tell me, recently there was a program launched with much fanfare by the government of India called Mission Karma Yogi. What is Mission Karma Yogi?
So Mission Karma Yogi is an attempt to modernize the civil services training program. It seeks to inculcate niche technologies in training of the civil servants.
But do you think a civil servant need to possess technical knowledge so much rather than other important traits like leadership qualities and team building and integrity and honesty?
So without a doubt, civil servants need to have these qualities such as leadership and team building. But because governance processes are becoming increasingly digitized is the reason why they must be equipped with technical knowledge as well. Today we have direct benefit transfer,
You can always get technical people. You can outsource that. Many
So-
people can be under you, so you
Yes.
can get the necessary things done. Why do we need to train the civil servants on the technical aspects?
So a civil servant is the one who takes the decisions in the district. Therefore, it is imperative for the civil servant to know the technology in order to supervise the entire district. If we leave everything to the private parties, then ethics may get compromised while
No, but
delivering
private,
services.
not necessarily. You have NIC, you have many government agencies also which can take care of the technical aspects.
Yes, so but
You have so many management companies like SBI Caps is there, so subsidiaries of various banks also.
So there are certain civil servant roles, for example, using Vahan portal to regulate road transport licenses, which are in the hands of the civil servants. The power to issue licenses is in the hands of the civil services. So it is imperative for them to know as to how to use these methods.
All right. Now, the Prime Minister has been talking about that we should move from rule to role, you see,
Yes,
on the
sir.
Mission Karma Yogi. So, rule bound to role bound.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you think it is really possible? Because we have that old colonial system of rules,
Yes,
and
sir.
that is how we have been moving ahead.
Yes,
And a violation of rules attracts, all kinds of disciplinary action and penalty. Do you think it will be possible to switch from rule to role?
Yes, sir. So, as far as rules are concerned, they give a lot of discretionary power to civil servants. And such discretionary power.
Rules give discretionary power.
Yes, sir.
How? If it is rule bound, then how there is a discretion?
So, there are certain decisions which a district collector has to take independently. For instance, issuing of licenses only. So,
That is also under rules only. You can't issue a license
so
without
but
rules.
certain situations may arise where complex governance is a complex process. So certain situations may arise where rules are not the sole guide, and a civil servant has to take decisions on the basis of the context. So in that way, a discretion is granted, is on the civil servant.
So by moving to role, the discretion will go away.
No, sir. By moving to role, a civil servant will be able to adapt to the currents that are emerging in governance, the new currents that are emerging in governance.
Okay. Success.
Swarnim, what is the meaning of your name? Swarnim?
So the meaning is brilliance of gold or
Brilliant
golden.
Gold.
Yes.
Okay. So your parents had very high expectations from you while giving you a name.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, you studied political science and international
Yes, sir.
relations, and
Yes.
that was your optional paper also.
Yes, sir.
And you studied LLB.
Yes, sir.
What was the intention behind, studying LLB?
Sir, while
Law.
I was yes, sir. Sir, while I was in my third year of undergraduation, I had to choose a career option. So I wanted to open up my options. Civil services was in my mind, but I was not exactly clear about it. I wanted to open the option of judicial services as well and advocacy, which is why
Judicial.
I chose
Did
law.
you try in the
No,
judicial
sir.
service?
No, sir.
Why?
Sir, I was fully committed to preparation of civil services examination because the
So
syllabus.
your
is-
knowledge of law will go waste.
Sir, no, sir. Sir, my knowledge of law will not go waste, sir, because in civil services also we need an understanding of law to implement the laws. So, sir, I believe that it will be of great utility to me.
Okay. Chairman sir asked you about Haryana.
Yes.
The so-called, spiritual babas are, it is a very fertile land for producing babas,
Yes,
and
sir.
you said that the public is not so literate and they follow the gurus.
Yes, sir.
So, and not only the public at large, even the politicians also worship them because of the vote politics, because these babas carry a lot of clout.
Yes, sir.
There are a lot of disciples, who can
Yes, sir.
help the government and vote during elections. So, do you think that whom should we blame? Illiteracy of the public or the political class?
Um,
And
so
there are so many people. I need not, cite their names. Ram Rahim. He's on parole. I think
yes, sir.
still on parole. What is the ground in giving him parole? He's a life sentence. So what is this happening? Don't you see a game behind all this?
Yes, sir. So the issue of the cults emerging is related to illiteracy, as well as you mentioned, that political class is also involved in mobilizing the masses, who are disciples to the cults. So there are numerous factors for that. For one, for emergence of cults. So definitely, sir.
Okay. Are Khap Panchayats still prevalent in Haryana?
Yes, sir. Khap panchayats are prevalent in Haryana.
Despite Supreme Court judgment that they are not legal?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Why does the police and the IAS officers don't take any action?
Sir, Khap panchayats have performed on two levels, opposing levels. Firstly, there are good parts to Khap panchayats and there are bad parts to Khap panchayats. Those which have enacted diktats or giving.
At least tell them not to do the bad,
Yes, sir.
evil
So,
things.
Yes, sir. The police has taken measures to dismember the Khap panchayat in
Okay.
areas where they have issued
Okay.
diktats related to
I get your
Unacademy.
point. Huh? Acha, you have opted IFS as your number one choice.
Yes, sir.
Very, very interesting. Because after a long time, I find somebody opting IFS as number one choice.
Yes, sir.
In our good old days, it used to be that was the position. What are the factors responsible in shaping a foreign policy of India, for instance?
Yes, sir. So, firstly, it is the economy, because today we have relations with countries on economic
Okay.
terms. Secondly, sir, it is our civilizational values. Thirdly, sir, it is our geography. Sir, our geography.
Geography.
Yes, sir. And fourthly, it is also our history, sir. The recent history.
What about the role of diaspora?
Yes, sir. Even the Indian
I
diaspora
think-
has a major role in shaping foreign policy.
Okay, one last question. Our Honorable Prime Minister shares a very good bonhomie with President Putin.
Yes, sir.
In case of war between India and China
Yes,
at
sir.
LAC or wherever, because they're making incursions into our territory,
Yes,
Arunachal
sir.
Pradesh and all that. Can we expect Russia to come to our aid? Can we not sign a treaty with Russia to remain neutral or to help us?
Sir, as far as Russia is concerned, it will, in my opinion, it will remain neutral if India and China come to war, because Russia has critical interests with China and India, so it will choose first to preserve its own interest. The only relation with Russia we will have is the fact that we import 70%.
One
of
last
our-
question I have.
Yes, sir.
Supposing I ask you to compare the socio-economic indices of Haryana with Punjab. Brief.
Sorry, sir, I'm not exactly aware of
You're
the
not
numbers
aware
of
of that.
Punjab, but I'm aware of the numbers of Haryana.
Okay. You can't compare.
Sir, I don't have the facts.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
okay.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Swarnim,
Yes,
you made a very interesting statement that Russia would stay neutral where vis-a-vis China. If China invades or makes transgressions in India.
yes, ma'am.
Would you recall somewhere in last year at the high table when Russia was negotiating on Afghanistan, we were not even invited
Yes, ma'am.
for the negotiations.
Yes, ma'am,
So
we were
what
not
do you
invited.
base your confidence on?
Ma'am, it
What are
is-
the indicators?
Ma'am, my opinion is based on the fact that Russia is dependent on China's economy for trade. And as far as its relations with India is concerned, we have strong defense partnership with Russia. In a case of conflict between India and China, Russia will preserve its own self-interest by being neutral.
But Russia wasn't neutral. They didn't even ask us to participate. Anyway, that's one question. Now, since foreign service is your first choice, I'll just ask you short questions. Where is Mosul located?
Sorry, ma'am.
Mosul, M-O-S-U-L.
Ma'am, I cannot recall at the moment.
Chabhar
sorry.
port.
Iran.
What is the strategic importance of Iran?
Ma'am,
How
Iran.
can it use it to its advantage?
Ma'am, Iran is a source of oil. We are an energy dependent country. It is a source of oil for us. Second, it is a gateway to the international north-south corridor, which enhances our connectivity to Eurasia. Thirdly, it is also a market for Indian products. And fourthly, it is a way to bypass Afghanistan and Pakistan to reach.
The land route.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Where is Mazar-e-Sharif?
Ma'am, it is in Afghanistan.
Suez Canal passes through which
Red Sea.
country?
Country. Egypt.
Okay. And what is the capital of Palestine?
Of Palestine. Gaza.
No.
West Bank.
No. Those are the disputed areas.
Sorry, ma'am, I cannot recall at the moment.
Ramallah. And what is the capital of Israel? Anyway, what is this two-nation theory between Palestine and Israel? I'll give you that cue.
Yes, ma'am. The fact that Israel and Palestine are two independent autonomous nations, instead of the fact that Israel claims its rights over Palestine, West Bank and Gaza.
So, what is this two-nation theory?
Ma'am, I know this much only about this.
Read about it. Because
Okay,
this
ma'am.
dispute has been going on for as long as the country has existed.
Yes, ma'am.
And how to resolve. Every dispute we need to resolve. So, how to resolve? That is one of the solutions which has not worked so far. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
now what is the string of pearls theory?
Ma'am,
Vis-a-vis which country?
Ma'am, String of Pearls is concerns with China's Belt and Road Initiative. They have made a maritime string of pearls in the Indian Ocean region from Djibouti to Sri Lanka to Bangladesh. And the theory is that
Further, it goes up.
encircles.
It comes down and then it goes up. It doesn't stop there. Then it won't be a string of pearls. What about the west side?
Ma'am,
They
Djibouti.
are encircling India.
Yes, ma'am, Djibouti in Africa. Then Sri Lanka. And then
So
Bangladesh.
you're coming down like this.
Yes, and then
And then?
Bangladesh. Bangladesh.
Bangladesh is here. So how do you go up? Read on that.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Now, which treaty was there and between how many countries to control the Chinese expansion?
Ma'am, treaties.
Single treaty. And which were the countries involved, main countries? Okay. Japan has had a long, track record of not spending much on its defense. 1%, it's gone up to 2%. Why is Japan now interested in containing China? And what is it doing?
But ma'am, Japan is interested in containing China because China is threatening the international sea lane of communication in the Indian Ocean region. And Japan currently is interested in securing those sea lane of communication.
It's
which
coming
is
to
why.
the aid of Taiwan because Taiwan is main target of China. My last question, child. You said socio-economic indicators result in a skewed sex ratio in Haryana.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
it the social or is it the economic indicator which is resulting in the skewed sex ratio in Haryana?
Ma'am,
I want you to choose 1 and 2.
Ma'am, the first is the socio indicators, and the second is the economic indicators.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, despite all this, women in Haryana are doing very well.
Yes, ma'am.
Sports women, particularly.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you name some of them and the games that they are associated with?
Yes, ma'am. Sakshi Malik is associated with wrestling. The Fogart sisters are also associated with wrestling. The women's hockey team has majority of players from Haryana, and they secured the 4th rank in Olympics, in Tokyo Olympics.
Only 3 games.
And badminton, ma'am, Saina Nehwal in badminton.
One of the GMs. Brain games. Brain is coming from Haryana.
Sorry, ma'am. I
Okay,
cannot
thank
recall.
you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sanjay ji.
Swarnim, some questions from international relations and pol science,
Okay, sir.
which you have studied adequately and you adopted also
Yes,
as
sir.
your optional.
Yes.
So, have you read Karl Popper, Open Society and Its Enemies?
Sir, I've heard about him, but I
So,
have not read it. in
which are the
detail.
three enemies he talks about? Any idea?
Sir, I remember.
Yeah?
So Plato,
Yeah?
Karl Marx.
Hmm?
Sir, I cannot remember the third one.
Okay. Hegel.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Plato is philosophy and philosophy is Plato, said R.W. Emerson.
Yes.
A very common question which is asked in the civil services also. What is the scope of this statement?
So could you please repeat
Yes,
it for me
Plato
again?
is philosophy
Yes.
and philosophy is Plato.
Yes, sir. So Plato touched upon every facet of a polity, be it who will govern, how the polity will be governed, and who are going to be the subjects of it. He gave the idea of communism. He also gave the idea of a philosopher king as to who will govern a polity.
Okay.
Broadly, political philosophy touches on these aspects only, which is why his philosophy is called philosophy of political science.
Okay. What is democratic backsliding? Have you heard this term?
No, sir. Sir,
Okay.
I-
Why democracies fail?
So democracies fail because public institutions who conduct democracy fail. To
So
render
which
their
are the
duties.
which are the institutions
So for
which are necessary?
So the legislature, so broadly the legislature, within the executive, the election commission, or the auditing agencies, or the cabinet in itself, if they fail to render democratic duties, then democracies fail.
That is one factor. Which
Yes,
is the
sir.
second factor?
Sir, I can think of this only at the moment.
Okay. So just read up on that.
Okay,
This
sir.
is one of the. What is the relationship between power, authority, and legitimacy?
Sir,
I think one of those topics.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, authority enjoys power, and if authority enjoys the confidence of those who are being subjected to, then it enjoys legitimacy.
Okay. Just read up on that.
Okay, sir.
Legitimate power is authority.
Okay, sir.
That is the thing.
Okay,
right?
sir.
You must have read Aristotle.
Yes, sir.
What is his theory of revolutions?
So
Why
what-
do revolutions take place?
So revolutions take place because of existing inequalities in the society,
Okay.
which leads to a current of overthrowing the government.
Okay.
So, sir, Aristotle proposed the best form of government, that is polity, to ensure that revolutions do not take place.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're interested in bird watching,
Yes, sir.
right? What is the fastest recorded speed of a bird? Is my question clear? What is the fastest recorded speed of a bird?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the exact number.
All right, find the name. It's more than 320 kilometers per hour.
Okay, sir.
Unimaginable. All right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, how do you define difference between values, morals, and ethics?
So morals are
Start with values. Shall we say? What is value?
so value is the importance which is accorded importance to a
Okay.
so can I
morals?
start with ethics?
Yeah, please start
So
wherever you want.
ethics are the universal moral standards that are observed by humanity as a whole. Morality are the standards of conduct which are observed, which are observed by humans, but they may differ from person to person. And similarly, some values are again conducts which a conduct which is observed by individuals.
Okay, they're similar terms, but there's
Moral-
a difference.
yes,
so
sir.
please read.
Okay.
All societies don't have same ethics.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It's
sir.
not universal across humanity, but society
Yes,
to
sir.
society it differs.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is a live situation. You are the ambassador in Lebanon, right?
Yes, sir.
You are ambassador in Lebanon. You have invited some guests. And one of your first secretary level officer takes too much drink and starts behaving in a manner which is unbecoming of an officer in a foreign service.
Yes.
What action will you take?
So firstly, I will call him to explain himself.
When? And would you take some action
If it is
that point
at
of
the
time?
party, yes, sir. I
It's
will.
happening in your house.
Yes, sir. I will request him to shift to his home at the moment because he is creating a
You will
ruckus
ask him to
there.
leave your place.
Yes, sir. And I will definitely take action later.
Okay. Have you heard of a thing called goose sense? Since you're a bird watcher, have you heard of a term called goose sense?
No, sir. I've not heard of.
It's
goose
something
sense.
related to teamwork. So please read about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, Pakistan has been facing all kinds of challenges.
Yes, sir.
In the last couple of days, there's a very serious challenge that it is now facing.
Yes, sir.
What is it related to?
So Pakistan is facing economic crisis,
Okay.
and it is also facing crisis in the geopolitical sense,
Right.
because it has not been enjoying legitimacy due to becoming a safe haven of terrorist groups.
Yeah, well, that is true. There is something which has happened in the last 2 weeks where one of the terrorist organizations has said something or declared something. Are you aware of that?
Sir,
Are you aware of what Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP)
yes, sir.
has said?
No, sir.
Okay, it's very interesting. Please read as a foreign service aspirant.
Okay, sir.
It will be important for you to read.
Yes, sir.
And since we talked of ethics, there was a wonderful act of ethical conduct by one of the teams during this FIFA World Cup.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
remember that?
Yes,
What
sir.
was it?
Sir, the Iranian team refused to sing the national anthem of their country, owing to the protest that is going in Iran against hijab.
All right, that was one. Any other?
Sir, I can think of this one only, sir.
There
This
was one
instance.
team which was wrongly given penalty against it. And the Netherlands team which took the penalty kicked the ball out.
Okay, sir.
You heard of this?
Sir, I cannot recall at the moment,
Okay,
sir.
so wonderful act of ethical conduct by
Yes,
your
sir.
team.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, Swarnim, so we will take you back outside for a few moments. Just
Okay,
wait
sir.
outside, we will call you back for feedback.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you so much, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much.
See.
So, may I come in?
Come. Okay. Have a seat.
Please.
Thank you, sir.
So, Swarnim, how do you think you fared at this particular mock interview?
Sir, I did not fare well at all.
Why? Why?
No, sir, because I could not answer so many questions.
So what?
I'm so sorry, sir. Like
For what?
political philosophy.
Please, I would like
Political philosophy.
There is nothing
sir, I
to worry
will
about.
revise it.
You can't answer, you can't be repository of the entire knowledge. But
I think you were quite articulate and you were.
If you don't know,
It
you
was
don't
very
know.
precise.
Don't carry that burden
Okay.
in your
You
mind.
don't have to answer every question.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can always say, I don't know the answer to this, move on to the next question. That's
Okay.
perfectly
so,
acceptable.
Swarnim, first of all, let me tell you that
Yes.
you are very good. You have great poise, grace, demeanor is very good.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, the only thing which is probably lacking is that you should be more forceful, slightly louder,
Yes,
modulating voice.
sir. Yes, sir.
That's about it. But your communication skills otherwise are fine. Your knowledge is fine. Your attitude is also absolutely fine. Dress
you,
sense
sir.
is absolutely perfect.
Thank you, sir.
And I think
Wear closed shoes or sandals, not open.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
so. Then, as far as the knowledge goes now, your naturally the most of the questions may be diverted towards the service to which you have opted for as the first preference.
Yes, sir.
So you need to prepare more and more about Indian Foreign Service.
Yes,
So even some of the elementary things, sometimes they ask what is the difference between an embassy and high commission and
Yes, sir.
consulate and so on.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes very elementary questions are asked, but
Yes,
then
sir.
we don't prepare those things.
Okay.
And then of course India and its neighbors,
Yes, sir.
the situation prevailing in the countries, the answer which you gave regarding how the foreign policy is framed was quite good answer.
thank
And one of the aspects which also is responsible is the kind of defense, relations pertaining to
Yes,
the
sir.
security and defense. That
Yes.
also to a large extent determines our foreign policy. Other reasons which you gave are very good, historical and religion and those things, neighbors and so on.
Yes, sir.
Then coming to now your specific areas where I would like to say that you were mentally alert. So
Yes,
you were able to take the questions with alertness it's always good to wait for, think about the question and then come out with the answer, which you were able to.
Yes, sir.
Articulation is fine, except for that thing about being slightly louder would be better.
Okay, sir.
You were clear and logical. So the power of thinking was there, pros and cons you were able to visualize.
Yes.
You were, at no point did we find that you were trying to bluff, which again is a very good thing. If you don't know the answer, we'll be honest to accept that
Yes,
thing.
sir.
You don't have to know every answer. Every
Yes.
question is not possible. Even the best of the people, they will not be in a position to do that. Your communication skill are fine. You were able to have an eye contact. You were able to scan, the entire board.
Yes.
So these were, your plus points. Now, the only thing where you need to prepare is, of course, we ask many questions on Haryana. So Haryana, you should prepare
Yes, sir.
the strengths and weaknesses which you mentioned. Some of the controversial laws which have been framed by Haryana, that also you should know. The
Yes.
industries, reservation in
75%
the industries and
yes,
so on.
sir.
And then questions relating to social factors which you were able to come out.
Yes.
And then the questions relating to the place called Gurugram itself. So
Yes, sir.
you did answer that the IT hub, it has emerged as a IT hub.
Yes.
But what is the historical background? In fact, about history about Haryana, historical aspects of Haryana,
Yes,
the
sir.
tourism potential, the irrigation potential, the underground water, the agricultural crops, these are the things which status of women and so on. You
Yes.
must prepare very well.
Okay, sir.
And then coming to your DAF, so since you had mentioned a number of things in your DAF regarding bird watching, so bird watching definitely questions will be. Remember one thing, mostly in the interview they don't ask any specific fact finding questions. They will generally they will try to test you, on analytical things. So question will be mostly analytical. You will be asked to give your views on a particular situation.
Okay, sir.
And then, of course, yogasana. So yoga is a
Yes.
typical question which may be asked. And walking, what exactly, where have you gone recently for walking? Is it long distance or short distance and so on?
Yes.
And then class representative, so team building,
Yes,
team
sir.
leader, leadership skills, what are
Yes.
the attributes? These
Yes,
are the questions which will be asked. And now coming to some specific which I want to particularly mention to you, even though the majority of the question may be diverted towards your Indian Foreign Service, but
Yes,
you
sir.
must know about the internal security of this country.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And then questions regarding corruption. For example, the nexus between the politician and the criminals and the police. Why criminalization of elections, politics, and so on. Many questions may be asked on election. So the Representation of People Act, study it very well. Read Constitution very well.
Yes.
Read all the policies which have been framed by government in respect of women and the acts which govern. You mentioned some of the acts also, Domestic Violence Act, for example,
Yes.
Dowry Prohibition Act, and then POSH and many. Similarly, for children, study the acts.
Yes, sir.
What are the public policies? Then global issues.
Yes,
Role of United Nations institution, Sustainable Development Goals, Millennium Development Goals, that you must know. What are the indicators?
Yes, sir.
And where does India stand in terms of that?
Yes.
And then role of WHO and role of other institutions, that this WTO and so on.
Okay.
Then coming to the global problems, so which are the problems which are being faced? Some of the problems are emanating out of the Ukraine-Russia war also, like
Yes.
migration and many things. So problem like COVID-19, climate change and terrorism and drugs and migration and so many. Now we have become a global kind of a village. You must know that because international, you will be talking, your Indian Foreign Service is your first.
Yes, sir.
Then good governance principle, you should
Yes.
know.
Okay, sir.
What is the role of e-governance? How COVID-19 was tackled? Do you think the policy of the government of India in tackling COVID-19 was the correct one? So the vaccine Maitri and vaccine
Yes,
passport and vaccine tourism and
Yes.
so on. Then the question were asked regarding ethics, values and morals.
Yes, sir.
That you should be very careful
Yes.
because you see, values are principles or firm beliefs and conviction which a person has. It can be honesty, it can be integrity. They are the values. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ethics it comes only when there is a human conduct. So when you start using the values vis-a-vis other human beings, then you are moving on an ethical direction. So the play of values in this world is ethics,
Yes,
or
sir.
when the values are in action,
Yes,
then
sir.
only it becomes ethics.
Yes, sir.
Morals are generally set by the society.
Yes.
So
Okay,
that
sir.
is why it varies, and moral plus reasoning,
Yes,
that
sir.
becomes ethics. If you blindly accept
Yes, sir.
morals,
Yes,
then
sir.
it is not ethics. Ethics, you have to apply your mind.
Mind,
So
yes.
reason. Understand that. What is conflict of interest, what is recusal, and what is conscience. So these are some of the things which you
Yes.
have to, and what are the foundational values which are required in a civil servant. So these are general things. And elementary sometime question may be asked, what is the difference between a pandemic and an endemic and epidemic and sporadic and so on.
Yes.
Reservation of women, you
Yes,
must have
sir.
your views. Panchayati Raj
Sir,
institutions.
if I am
Yeah,
sorry to
go ahead,
interrupt.
go ahead.
Sir, if I am in favor of reservation for women, then
You have to
can
be in favor of reservation
So,
for women. You
I
can't
can
take
say
the
that.
other way.
Okay.
If you take the other way, then there'll be volley of questions.
Hmm.
You must follow what is the majority thinking in this.
Yes, sir.
Reservation of
Yes,
women
sir.
is, and you can speak many pros in
Yes,
favor
sir.
of reservation of women.
Yes, sir.
So that is the aspect, and many other questions which will also be similarly provocative. Always follow the official line. If it is a central vista, you may hold different views about it, but you have to follow the official line.
Line.
If it is statue of Sardar Patel, you have to follow the official line. Demonetization, hijab, Ayodhya, Article 370, citizenship register, surgical strike, GST. These are all issues in which there may be difference of opinion. Corruption, reservation. You have to follow the official line. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And lastly, of course, the some of the things which are there, that is the social media, and the independence. Should it be independent? Should it be regulated? Then the IT Act, and so on. So many things related to these things, and Uniform Civil Code. Again, a controversial
Yes, sir.
topic, but they may ask similar questions like nationalism and patriotism. What is the difference? So this you have to prepare about every question in great detail.
Yes.
Don't only think that one question will be asked. There may be more than one question also.
Yes.
And just one thing which I will mention in the last, even though you have given preference as Indian Foreign Service as the first, also prepare questions relating to Indian Administrative Service and Indian Police Service also.
Yes, sir.
Policy making, what is policy making process? Since IR is one of the political sciences,
sir.
so policy making process, how a civil servant is involved in every stage of the policy making. And similarly, if you are become the superintendent of police, what are the steps you will take to improve the condition in your district for protection of women and
sir.
senior citizens and so on.
Yes, sir.
So that's about it. You have,
Okay.
when is your interview?
So 10th of March.
Oh,
Okay,
lot of
very
time, lot of
important.
time. You can prepare.
2 months.
In
Yes,
any case,
yeah,
you are very good, and
Thank
don't feel the least amount of no confidence kind of thing. You have full confidence, and you can really perform very well.
Yes, sir.
Your
I will
performance
work with
here is very good.
Thank you so much,
So
sir.
some of the questions, yes, but the topic which you have taken, political science, that was optional also. You
Yes,
need
sir.
to prepare on that in great
I will
detail,
have to
because many
revise
questions
it.
were
Yes,
put,
sir.
and some questions will also
Yes,
be
sir.
put.
So
Okay?
I'll have to revise
You
it.
do
Yes,
that.
sir.
Huh?
Yes.
Swarnim, when the chair said, on women, so also look into the women reservation bill. It's been
Yes.
tabled in every session of parliament. It is not getting across. Now with delimitation, will it be passed? That kind of a thing. And particularly to Haryana, the land rights of the girl child.
Yes, ma'am.
So the amendments have come about. You should know about that. Because
Okay.
since you come from Haryana,
Ma'am, I will read
so
about
that
that.
is an important landmark thing which has happened.
Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am.
just what
Yes.
ma'am have said.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
example, the stamp duty. You see, what are the steps taken by the government to ensure that the land is in the name of the women folk? So stamp duty concession has been given, so that people purchase land in the name of their wives or mothers or sisters or daughters. So many steps have
That's
been taken.
wonderful. Yes.
Women empowerment and gender sensitization and POSH.
Yes.
You must prepare very well. Okay. And it is the thing of the day, and you must hold views in favor. You have to be, of course, you are feminine, but even a masculine person, I always say that you must have views feminine. You
Yes.
have to be in favor of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But you will do very well. If you have any questions, you can ask us.
But don't relax. in the run up to the interview? Just
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Same
so
pace.
complacency should not be there, because here is a chance which the first time interview.
Yes,
You have come
sir.
for the
Yes,
been
sir, it's my
invited for the first time.
Yes,
but your
sir.
third attempt.
It's my third attempt, ma'am. Yes.
You'll do very well. Don't worry. But don't be apathetic, or you must be
Definitely.
complacent. Do your best, and the result, of course, will depend on your written paper also, how you have fared.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
All the best to you.
Okay.
You'll
So I
do
had
it.
one question.
Yeah.
Sir, how do I deal with the cult question in
Yeah,
Haryana?
cult questions you gave, the answer was absolutely fine. You know, that is in the rural areas, particularly the literacy levels being so low, and the tensions, you know, the day-to-day tensions are rising in day-to-day life. So people take recourse to going to these babas, and Haryana is not the only exception. It is happening all over, everywhere.
Okay.
But in Haryana, since a large number of people belong to different kinds of different castes, and also have different literacy level, and therefore they find solace in going to these. But the question which how can you use these babas, so that again is something, a positive side, which you can say that babas can be used
Yes, sir.
in the,
Make them the brand ambassadors.
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
correct,
Yes.
absolutely.
Use them positively.
Yes, ma'am. And
Yeah.
so one more question,
Yeah, go
if I
ahead.
may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have this issue of collegium system coming up.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So collegium system is something which the government of India, they brought about a new act which was struck down by the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So now it has gone. It is no
Yes.
longer there.
Yes, sir.
But you must say that yes, there is a need for greater consultation in order to provide for appointments to the highest judiciary. And I think the government is already working on that. And I think it will be a good idea if people from all walks of life are brought into the system to have a more balanced approach to this. You will not criticize the judiciary, you will not criticize the government, you will follow a middle path.
Sir, can I also propose All India Judicial Services?
Yeah. Why
Can,
why not? It's a good idea. It has been
It is in the
going on for such a
constitution.
long time.
Why it has not
And
taken
the reasoning
shape so
which is
far?
given against
Why?
it is also not is not relevant actually.
So because of lack of consensus
Consensus
amongst
on
state
states.
governments.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You say it's a good idea. We should have all India services.
Okay, sir. And sir, ma'am, the question on Russia interfering in a case where India and China are at war, not interfering, partnering with India in a case of war between India and China. What should be the approach?
There is no clear answer to that. It is going to be a difficult choice for Russia also.
Yes.
Because it is not that we are at loggerheads with China. In a lot of areas, we are working together,
Yes.
particularly trade and commerce and other things. So for Russia, it will have to see its interests at that point of time. What is Russia's interest? Whether to side with China or with India, or to stay neutral. Like Ukraine-Russia war, India said, we are friends with Ukraine, we are friends with Russia. So if they ask us to negotiate for them, we will. But on our own, we will not counsel anybody.
Yes.
You will say that Russia, in all probability,
Yeah, you
is
will
going
not
to-
say with definite. You are very definite.
Yes.
all
in
probability,
all, stay neutral.
it will refrain from taking sides on any of these, because both
Yes.
of them, as ma'am has said, economic relations are there.
Okay, sir.
Okay. In fact, that is going to be the future of the world now, bilateral only, case to case, geopolitical consideration, geo-economic consideration prevailing at that point of time.
Yes.
So you make it balanced. Don't take any particular side.
And don't be definitive about anything.
Okay, ma'am.
The best thing about civil services is yes, maybe.
Maybe.
No definite yes
Yes.
or no.
Okay, ma'am. I will keep that in mind.
Yeah, in
I
due course
tend
of
to
time.
take.
Yeah, you say in
Yes.
due course of time. At that point of time,
Yes.
as things develop, many things may develop at that point of time. But in all probability, this is how.
We have to wait and watch. Time will tell.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay?
ma'am. Yes.
Now,
Okay,
any more
ma'am.
questions?
That's-
Thanks.
All the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Don't worry, we'll see you as a civil servant.
Thank you so much, sir.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.